Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for the Pitt Season
Mhm.
2, Episode 8. This officially marks the halfway point of the season. This episode, we are now really knee deep into the crisis of, okay, IT, all the systems are shut down. You guys have to operate entirely by hand. Thank goodness you guys have Joy, who, despite being surly, is really proving her worth at this very moment.
Yeah, man, that photographic memory, it is coming in clutch. It is really helping people out. I mean, for everybody having to go back to paper, writing, stickers, all these different things to be able to kind of keep things moving, even though there's a couple little hiccups here or there because it's like been 5 minutes since this has been going on, they're doing a really good job of holding this all together.
Here's the question that I have for you guys, and maybe I'm just out of my mind for thinking this. Was it not crazy enough? I felt like going into this episode that we were going to sort of have the equivalent, every person running around screaming. I know we got a tiny taste of that at the end of this episode. I kind of thought that was going to be more or less the whole thing. They held down the fort longer than I expected.
Absolutely. I know Robby was really pissed off, of course, that he wasn't told about it. And
Mm.
Dr. Al was just like, listen, I've been trained in this, so they told me I was on my way to tell you, sort of thing. But Robby really is the person who jumps in and is like, okay, we're gonna get Joy on the board over here, getting that together, we're gonna get this going over here. He is just so seasoned in his job and knows his hospital so well that I feel because he's there, there wasn't as much chaos as there could have been. It's still coming, it feels like.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're still moving in this direction. Like, they've made a clear point to be like, we don't know when things are going to be
Right.
reset. Like, there's a good chance this is just going to be the way of it for the majority of the season. So we have to buckle up, we have to
Mhm.
prepare ourselves. But I think there is a lot of interesting stuff to unpack throughout all of this, including, is Langdon finally finding a friend, someone to lean on in Cassie? Also, I have a weird question. What's going on with Robbie's friend Duke, who is supposedly going to be here at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we're going to get into all of this a whole lot more, but before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be here with the rest of the
Mhm.
Pit Season 2, breaking everything down, sharing some theories with you guys. We have also just started the new season of Paradise over on Hulu. We are heading back into the bunker. It is a crazy, crazy show. Lots of interesting stuff. And also, if you guys didn't know, this weekend is Jess's birthday.
It is. I'm going to be posting some pictures up on our Instagram, which is Matt and Just TV. If you want to give a little bit of a birthday gift, if you want to go and follow us over there, we would really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys very, very much. We appreciate that more than we can tell you.
Absolutely.
Let's start here with Langdon, who I have
Hmm.
felt unbelievably terrible about for the entirety of this season, to the point where there's been multiple episodes where I've come out of it feeling like, okay, Langdon's just not gonna stay at the hospital. He's trying to put his best foot forward, but if nobody is giving him a chance, why not just take your credentials and go elsewhere?
Yeah, it feels really sort of imbalanced there for him. He's trying his best
Mhm.
to apologize for what he did, make amends, to continue working the program that he's in. It seems like it's a 5-year program. He's 10 months in. He's got a long road ahead of him still, but he's really on the road right now. And he seems to be feeling pretty good, at least when he started this day. But after that whole blow up with Robby, where Robby's basically like, yeah, good for you for getting treatment, but I don't want you here. And if I can find a way for you not to be here, I'm going to make sure that that's the thing that happens. I don't want you in my ER. That it kind of just, when you hear a bunch of people say a lot of good things about you, of Cassie being like, hey man, I've been there, I'll help you. Dana's like, you know what, it'll be okay, we're glad to have you back. Dr. Al's like, I'm the person who fought to make sure you were here, welcome, or I'm really happy to have you. Mel's happy to have you. But that one person, that is Robby, who was somebody who was very important to him, who was not happy to have him there, that's going to be the thing that's really going to just sit on his shoulders and feel like, well, if he's just going to get me out of here anyways, then why am I sticking around? Is there any way to kind of make this work out? And that's why that scene with Cassie was so important. And I was so happy to see her open up to him and say, listen, like, I'm 9 years sober. So, if you need to ever call me, I'm somebody that you can lean on. And I really hope he does.
I really, really hope so. I needed this moment as a viewer because I am kind of that person sometimes where if the wrong person says something really, really harsh to me, like I have a hard time
Me
taking
too.
it. And it's weird because
I'm a
I
Pisces. I'm emotional. I'll cry over anything.
I'm very hot and cold with this stuff. Like people I don't know can say all sorts of terrible things about me, and a lot of that will just roll off my back. But
That's true.
it's just listen, I have been through quite a bit of people saying things in my youth about me, but it is that one person sometimes that can just cause a spiral. I have been
Mhm.
so worried about him. I'm still worried about Langdon because if he is like me on some level, then maybe this Cassie part of it won't be enough. But I hope that it's enough for him. Plus, just the fact that he is a really good doctor. When he is
Yes.
on it, he's very caring. He looks after his patients. He jumps in whenever he is really called on. And I think
Mhm.
Langdon has the experience of being around Cassie enough to know that she's somebody who has gone through it. I mean, remember all the
Yep.
time we spent talking about that ankle monitor last
Yep.
season? Like, she has dealt with a lot in her life, and she has basically showed him you can roll with the punches. You're going to get on the other side of it. Okay. And I hope that this is a turning point because I think what Langdon should try to realize, and obviously much easier said than done, you don't really need Robby to like you. Robby's going away for months.
It's so hard though.
I
I
know.
feel like this is a very relatable story to so many people, myself included, where you have this person who is your friend that you've been friends with a long time or that you really look up to. And then one day it's all poof, and you're either you know what you've done or you don't know what you've done, and it's just done, and there's no way to fix it. And it doesn't really matter that it's like, okay, I can just let this person go because I have all these great other people like Cassie, who's, trying to be there for me. Call anytime. Mel, someone who still looks up to him and has a good friendship with lots of colleagues that are really there. But that one person who's like, man, this guy was my mentor. He was everything that I wanted to be, doesn't like me anymore. That's really going to sit on him.
And this show can be very, very dark. Obviously,
For
we've seen
sure.
lose patience, we've seen all sorts of
Yes.
really difficult things. But at the same time, I don't know why. I'm still weirdly optimistic that I think Robbie and Langdon, they're going to get to a point this season where they start to figure something out.
Okay, tinfoil hat.
All right, let's do
Okay,
it.
I have said I've had a tinfoil hat that because we've heard so much about the
Yeah.
motorcycle all throughout this season, and we know that Robbie is going on this motorcycle trip. We know that he rides without a helmet. My theory is that we're gonna end this show, this season, where he's gonna go off with no helmet and he's gonna end up right back into the hospital as a patient. Langdon is gonna be the person that's going to save his life.
I think it's a really good theory.
And it may then be the thing where he can prove himself to Robbie to be like, not only am I sober now, I'm staying sober, and I am sober here to save your life. I am still willing to do anything for you.
I think we're in this situation where Langdon is gonna do something to help Robbie. It could be saving his life, as you have brought up, where there's so many hints of this at this point that I can easily see it go in this direction. The other thing that I am struggling with a little bit right now is that we've now heard multiple times about this friend that Robbie has, whose name is apparently Duke. A little while
Right.
ago, I kind of thought maybe they were talking about Jack Abbott at first, but it's not Jack Abbott. We've already seen him. But
Yeah.
there's clearly somebody Robbie is waiting for at the hospital, and supposedly he was meant to be there at this point. I am sitting back kind of feeling like I know this show's not going to repeat the same beats as season one. Robbie's not going to have the same breakdown he did last season. If they just repeat themselves, it's not that interesting. But there has to be something really terrible that happens that pushes Robbie to a much darker place because as you set up, he is taking over and handling things, I think, as well as anyone could.
Hmm.
I'm starting to feel like this friend of his is somebody who's going to show up at the hospital, and this is going to be something that really starts to break him. I mean, yeah, we've got Louis, who Robby knew, but Louis wasn't a friend. He was just somebody who he saw in the hospital. So he'll have gone from losing this person who he spent a lot of time with to potentially losing someone he personally really cares about to then everything else that's happening.
And we already had this last season with him potentially losing
Mhm.
somebody that he really cares about who came in from Pitt Fest. I mean, I don't want to see this again. They don't need to, as you say, reheat these nachos and have another person that Robby cares about that personally in his life come into the hospital.
I do think your idea is more compelling just because it gives real stakes, and this is something that hospital shows love to do. The doctor becomes the patient, but having it
Yeah.
be the most reluctant doctor in Robby who does not like to listen and it is stubborn, like that would make the much more meaty story, especially if you do it around episode 13 and 14, like
Mhm.
as he's leaving for that trip, as he said, like right when he starts to feel like he's actually out of the woods. Like that is sort of the spike of, oh, you thought this season was over? Well, think again.
I also was really glad to see Langdon and Santos working on a patient together. I know that they really haven't had a chance to sit down and talk through things, but I feel like that conversation is coming, and I'm really hopeful that it's going to go okay.
Yeah, it felt like, she was really rigid to him at first. And I mean, she's rigid to almost everybody, but it did feel like as they were going through this gruesome tongue situation that they started to thaw a little bit. Like, I'm not going to say the ice is melted yet, but it does at least feel like, all right, they're listening to each other. Santos has a lot of other things on her plate.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Santos bringing this up about Langdon, yeah, he was mad about it last season because he thought he had control over it, but he
Mhm,
didn't, and he needed to get some help with it. She's basically saved his life.
mhm.
I mean, being able to help get him help. So I'm really hopeful, and I do think that when Langdon actually has a chance to sit down with her and tell her that they'll be able to come to a bit of a better understanding. I hope she's open to hearing him.
I think that's really the thing because I do feel like Langdon's humble enough to recognize this. If he has gone through a 10-month program, he's probably had a lot of conversations with people about this already. And I think all
Yep.
of us have like that innate level of stubbornness where we don't like to admit we're wrong sometimes. We don't like to admit that we have mistakes. But once you get to that point where you're able to, it's really freeing. It's really nice to just sit back and be like, you know what? I don't have to have that burden on me anymore where everyone expects me to get everything right. And Langdon is a person who I think is more than capable of acknowledging all of this.
We got to talk about Ogilvy, who's someone who can't seem to acknowledge that his comments and the things that he is saying are just so hurtful in front of patients. I was really glad to see somebody, Cassie, finally just take him aside and be like, watch it. Like, these are people that are here, real people. Like, I understand you're here for a job or whatever, but at the same time, you can do both. You cannot be rude in front of patients and say things about them, and you can still do a good job.
Cassie's moving up my ranks this season, man. That's like in between her being there for Langdon, her telling
Mhm.
off Ogilvy. I mean, she's even got presumably a date at the end of the shift. Like
Mhm.
Cassie's doing really, really well here. And I think I don't know what it is, but it just feels like she's one of the people who is the most relaxed in the situation right now.
Yeah.
She's handling everything really well. I think with Ogilvy, like my question now is, all right, you had the whole glass shard incident earlier this season, and I have
Mhm.
egg on my face now. I really felt like that was going to humble him so that he would understand and maybe take a step back and not make all of these judgments. I know this is a medical judgment versus a
Yes.
personal judgment, but at the same time, just sort of get outside of yourself. And now I am sort of feeling like, is he really going to listen to her? Like, I hope he does.
I'm just glad that somebody else there did call it out. I am fully aware that people say things and they say mean
Mhm.
things, and But it doesn't make it okay. And in every profession, there's an Ogilvy or somebody who's going to say something like that, or a Santos who is not that nice to people either. But it doesn't make it okay. So I'm really glad that somebody, Cassie, actually called it out to say, I hear what you've said, and it's not okay.
They did a really good job alongside that of humanizing this patient that Ogilvy was talking about in the first
Yes.
place, where we learned all the context behind their weight gain and their
Mhm.
struggles with it. And then we saw them be so grateful to all the
Yep.
doctors after the fact. I mean, we can sit here and be like, okay, did they maybe crank it up a little bit too much here? Did I already understand their point? Yes, but I think it's something that does need to be reinforced sometimes, which is, these medical workers, they don't get thanked all the time for what it is they do. And yeah, the last thing on this patient here is just that is this going to be the end of Dr. Abbott for maybe till the end of the season? It's weird because Sean won an Emmy for this role in season one. So I think sort of the presumption here would be all right, we're going to see a lot more of him because everybody loves Abbott. But then when he's leaving, he basically says, okay, I'm going to help with this transfer. I have a shift later tonight. I'm going to go and take a nap. So I'm just sort of feeling like, okay, maybe we get him at the last couple of episodes if we're even lucky. Is this it?
Well, maybe he's sleeping in one of the rooms like we saw with another doctor earlier. So maybe he'll be back in again. I'm sure this is not the only time we're going to see him.
I will take whatever we end up getting for him, but I have to assume he's probably going to be gone at least for the immediate future.
Okay, let's talk about Dr. Mel because we finally have a little bit of an update. It seems like she's about to get ready to go in for her deposition now.
I am really grateful for that. I'm grateful that it seems like everything is going to go well, but like
Yep.
here's just my tinfoil hat feeling about it right now is I know she has been told in caution that it's not going to be a big deal, that everything is going to be all right, but we have already
Yeah.
seen her struggle with the nerves of this. It's really interesting. I think Mel can handle the pressure of actually being a doctor and taking care of real medical issues very, very well. But it seems like when it comes to social problems, she really struggles. I'm very worried that despite the reassurance, she's going to go in here, trip over her words, second guess her abilities, and that this is actually going to end up becoming a legitimate problem because not only was she sort of reassured in this episode, but she was also reassured by Robby that, oh, I've got all these depositions in the past. It's all going to end up being okay. Okay, so we'll hope for the best when it comes to what's going on with Mel, but I think in particular, this hospital just needs to find a way to fire off on all cylinders again. And I think by virtue of that, it's good that we're in a position now where everything that has been happening with Dana, it feels like she has finished it. It was still as painful and as intense to watch as it was on this past episode, though I do think the show really shined an unfortunate light on the fact that no matter what she does, it's still up to law enforcement to be able to take care of this, and they really aren't taking care of this.
Yeah, it was very disappointing to see that there had been another kit sitting in there for 2 weeks and having Dana really take charge of that and call the station and be like, we're taking care of you guys. You need to take care of our guys. Get somebody down here. And it feels like now she's back in charge of the desk. But, it was really cool to see Princess in charge there for a little while.
Yeah, she really had a moment, and that's not something you really get all the time if you are one of these characters on the show that's not, top billing near the very top of the call sheet.
Mhm.
But I just feel like this episode had some emotional moments, but kind of at the same time, the pit needs like that big wow. And I don't think they have found that over these past couple of episodes. Even the whole, oh, the hospital systems are being shut down because we knew about what was happening at Westbridge in advance, that things were going on there. It wasn't really possible to shock us with that. Like, I still think they need that one really, really huge, gigantic moment, whether it's emotional, personal. I think maybe the closest they've got with Louis, but they haven't topped anything that we've seen in season one yet.
No, and I think the reason that season one worked as well as it did is because while we still had the whole big thing with Pitfest, The whole season was really solid from start to finish. We had really good character development, and we spent lots of time with patients, but also with the doctors. And this season, it feels like it's more about the patients, less about the doctors. We've been hearing like about Dr. Mel in this deposition for 8 episodes now, and she's barely been on the show. Like, it just feels like they're kind of hitting the same beats over and over and over again with certain bigger characters, and they're not moving the story forward enough.
And that's why, please, writers, take what Jess said to heart. And I'm saying this as though the show has not already filmed, but hopefully we do get some real jeopardy for Robby closer to the end. But that is where we are coming out of the Pitt season 2, episode 8. Where do you think we're going with everything? Whether it be Robby's life to Langdon to this hospital shutdown. Share your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more. And if you guys do want to celebrate Jess's birthday, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We really, really appreciate that. And we will see you here next time.